Bobi Wine, your friend for every occasion. So we were really excited that you've come to the show for us. You've honored our invitation, and we were scared there for a second. We were like, go down somewhere. We don't know if you're going to make it or not. And we're worried, the weather might have gotten to you, but we're really excited that you've joined us for the show. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.
All right. So we're jumping in right now without wasting any more time because this is on a tight schedule. Just give us a brief introduction of who you are, as if so many people don't know, but remind us who you are, what makes you you, and then we can delve right in.
What can I say? I'm a Ugandan young man. My name is Kyagulanyi. I also go by the nickname Bobi Wine, which most people happen to know. I'm a musician, social activist, I'm a father, I'm a farmer, a businessman, but most recently I also managed to get elected into the Ugandan parliament. So I'm representing the people of Kyadondo East in the National Assembly.
Oh, that's very good to hear. And let me just jump right in without, you mentioned that you're a farmer, but we'll come back to that in a little bit. But just to start this show off, foremost, all of us here, all of us are saddened by the news of Radio's passing. And I know you guys were good friends, you were fellow musicians, you were fellow artists, fellow Ugandans, and fellow brothers. So we wanted to just, extend our sincere condolences to you and the family, and we know that must have been a tough one. So
yeah, it's still tough. We're still trying to come to terms with that. I mean, radio is not somebody you can just lose like that, but I mean, it happened and we're trying to come to terms with it. It was such a tragedy. And
we are so sorry for your loss. Once the news hit over, in Boston, it was such, in all the states that have a lot of Ugandans,
everywhere,
it was such.
I mean, not just among Ugandans, not just among Africans, but all over the world. He was a very talented artist, and they had already won international acclaim. So we lost such a talent.
I'm so sorry for that. And how do you think it's going to impact the music industry? He was such a big talent, and him just dying the way he did, I think that's what, scared a lot of Ugandans, scared a lot of artists out there. How do you think his death is going to impact, the music industry as a whole, even the country as a whole?
It certainly will throw us back a great deal. I mean, we as a country had invested so much in Moses Radio in terms of talent, in terms of development. Moses Radio was the kind of artist that you would know is representing our country in maybe awards or in such and such a country, and we are well represented. When radio is going for this competition, this friend, we are well represented. And we as artists, you see, our industry has come a long way. We have some formidable artists that are such an inspiration to the next generation. So losing him at his peak was such a loss, and we're still grappling. I mean, we're still coming to terms with that loss and trying to see, of course, he is irreplaceable, but we hope that the inspirational seed that he had planted in all the young men and women in the industry that were looking up to him will grow fast, and maybe in the future we'll get other radios.
Hopefully, I hope it's because we suddenly miss him. It's a big gap to fill, big shoes to fill.
Very big shoes.
The first thing I noticed when you walked in was this new look.
Thank
you.
The last time we saw you had dreads, I don't know, up to where, and then this new look. Tell us about this new look. Was it something you liked as an individual, or it's something that you did that came with your new career that you embarked on?
I would say life is a growing process. There are times when I had a cut that faces this side, and then there's sometimes when I had dreadlocks to my
shoulders. We were debating on putting it on the flyer, just
make
sure
people recognize. Spiky locks, and then I have this. I don't know what's going to be happening in the future, but I mean, I just appreciate life the way it comes, and I think it is growth. I grow through. Thank you very much. Do I look cuter?
You do.
Thank you.
As you know, I don't know if you know, this show, it's mostly a family show, and you're a family man, and I noticed that you and Bobi parent a certain way, the old school way, you know, the old-fashioned way where you know you're hands-on, you teach your kids how to do things, you know, you take them to the garden. I see Bobi. She's really, by the way, she's doing a very good job.
Thank you, thank you. I would not call it old school. I would call it the real way, because from life we learn what benefits us. I mean, love and respect and integrity. These are something you don't call old school. These are some things that grow with us. There's some things I learned from my father that I will have to teach my children. There's some things I saw at home that I will not teach my children. So as I grow, I pick what I think is going to be beneficial. Yeah.
The reason I call it old school is because, well, here in the diaspora, people think differently when it comes to parenting, you know.
Yeah, but I see even, I mean, formidable people like George Bush taking their children to the garden.
Yeah.
So I think we just pick a few things that we think are going to be good to teach children.
And it's a good way.
Thank you very much.
Speaking of family, since we're still continuing on family, do you ever worry the path that you've chosen to take to put, because now you're a politician now. I don't know how that came about. I think you had
I'm not a politician. I'm a leader.
Now, you are a nigger with a heart, let's say that. So
I'm not a nigger, I'm a black man.
So the path you have taken, just to, you know, we have watched so many big artists, so many big, not big artists per se, but people who have embarked on this path of politics and you know, you involving yourself in, you know, in government affairs. As an artist, I think your family was safe, but once you decided to take your family to, you know, to follow you towards politics, we had that one scare where there was a bomb found in your house. Do you ever worry that you're putting your children and your wife and your whole family in such a dangerous situation?
Alex, that's where we get it wrong. Taking an active part in the leadership and in the determination of the future of one's country is not getting involved in government stuff.
Yeah.
In any case, government is we the people. Uganda is predominantly a young population. We have over 80% under the age of 35.
Yeah.
So we have over 35 million Ugandans who are younger than me. And we are walking towards the future. It is only important that we take part in the decisions that we make, because we are the ones that are going to leave those decisions. Yeah. So getting involved is everybody's responsibility.
Yeah.
As an artist, or as a businessman, or as a farmer, or as a carpenter, we are equally bound to the decisions that are being made for us. So it is important that we don't shy away from how our country is run. And yes, you're right, we always get intimidated, because for a long time, leadership and decision-making has been cordoned off by certain people, and making us, especially the young people, shy away from that, believing that is for certain people, which is false. Yeah. So coming in to take an active part in the leadership of my country was not for my interest, but I had been talking about it for a long time, advocating for young people to get involved. But there came a time when I did not just want to talk about it. Yeah. I wanted to act about it. It was time for explaining was over, and it was time to demonstrate. Yes, as an artist, I'm equally vulnerable to bad governance. I'll give you an example, a live example. We just lost our brother Moses Radio, a wonderful artist. He did not have to meddle into what you call politics to die such a gruesome death. Yeah. But if we don't get involved in fixing our country, we are all vulnerable to it. Probably if we as a whole had gotten involved much earlier and decided that we need, for example, a good healthcare system. I'll give you an example. Moses Radio got an accident in Entebbe. I would love to call it an accident out of respect. That happened in Entebbe, but there was no medical facility that would attend to him. And even when he was rushed to Zambia, you know, there was no intensive care service to take care of him. And indeed, when he was referred to a private clinic, not to a national referral hospital.
Which is sad,
Yeah, you cannot keep away from such decisions, because they are going to find you wherever you are. artist, farmer, trader, or politician, as you want to call it.
And I understand that, and I understand the take you're referring to, and I understand that decision that you took on, because your heart is very patriotic towards your people and your country. But is there a time where Bobi Gamba, like, you know what, I love that you're taking on this you know, to help your people, naye abana bange mbagala nange, but patheno jota, like, has there ever been a time where she sat you down and said, I don't think we can do this, you know, I don't think I want to put my children in this path, I don't think I want to, because there's a majority of people who don't like you, and then there's a majority of people who like you. So has she ever sat you down and put you in a situation from a mother's perspective? You know?
I thank God that I'm married to a very strong woman. Yes, she gets scared many times. I get scared too. I must tell you, it is scary, you know, but it is even more scary to live in a country where you don't know where you're going.
I know.
Yeah.
That's powerful, yeah.
Mr. Sentamu, you joined Parliament as an independent candidate, right?
Please.
And I believe you're the minority, the independent candidates are the minority. How do you make sure you're heard? How do you make sure you're heard when decisions are being made? Because, you know, there are big players like the CJ, the CJ, and then the NRM, and then you are the minority. You know, how do you make sure that you make the same impact as the big dogs?
We are not big dogs. I'll be honest with you. I went to Parliament not expecting to change things immediately. But because I know that that is the constitutional platform to air our views and take a leap towards what we want to get to, I went to Parliament because, one, I wanted to inspire other people to know that it's actually possible.
Very nice.
And I believe many other people are inspired, especially young people, to take the same route. And secondly, I knew that there are many straight-thinking Ugandans in the Parliament. We have very many good members of Parliament. I wanted to join them and maybe bring in a new feel of confidence, you know, to empower each other from within.
Do you see other, let me call them, independent candidates joining your cause? Like, do you have, you know, people joining you ever since you joined the
sure, and I'm not looking at it.
We can do this.
Sorry. Yes, I'm not looking at this as just as an independent, because I don't want to isolate the FDCs, I don't want to isolate the DP, and indeed I do not want to isolate the NRM. We are all Ugandans, and we are tied in a single garment of destiny. Yeah, we all know what we want for our country.
Very good.
All I wanted is to inspire soberness in the Parliament, and maybe one day we will all come together on a single table, no matter what political affiliation, and make a decision for our country, a rightful decision.
And I think that's awesome.
There's something very important we forgot to ask right from the start. We see you here. We are surprised that you're here. Tell us briefly about, we've heard about the course you're pursuing at Harvard University. Tell us about
I think everyone is curious about that. Because to be honest, we watched the Diaspora TV and Voila asked you some powerful questions. And everyone, I think, is thinking like that. Hey, who's backing him? Everyone is asking themselves.
Tell us about it and how it's going to impact, you know, how it's going to help you in your political journey.
Because we were curious about that.
It was such an honor to be accepted in the world's top leadership school, the Harvard Kennedy School of Government. Yes, and the course is called Leadership for 21st Century. Because we are looking for knowledge, and we are looking at these developed countries. They developed because they had leaders that had the necessary knowledge and necessary skills to propel them to where they want to be. So it was important for me to seek that knowledge, and when I was accepted into Harvard University, I went and did that course. I'm glad that I did it, and I'm glad that I'll be taking that knowledge home to share it with other people, especially the ghetto youth, to break it down for them in a language that they understand, and then try to apply that knowledge and those skills back home. And maybe we can change our country.
I hope so. I hope we can have something changing, because I think you remind us of what a politician should have been from the beginning. Because right now, I think that's what they should have been. Because we grew up in school knowing about, people would say, "What do you want to be when you want to grow up?" And there were doctor, there were this and this and this, and people wanted maybe someone said a member of parliament at some point, but as time went on, people stopped respecting that position. People stopped wanting to be in that position. If your daughter or son comes back and says, "I want to be in parliament," but now I think you're reminding us, you're reminding the youth, you're reminding everybody that this is a position I want to, aspire to, because there's always someone fighting, and we really, really recommend you for that. It's good to see when you see someone, I think, bring back hope. And I think you're bringing back hope to that country. Do you ever get worried that this is going to be because I worry, I think everyone is worrying so much that, the regime that's on right now, the Museveni regime, that people who have been making treadway and headway in politics, and people who have been making noise that, how you've been impacting Uganda a lot. Do you ever worry that something negative is going to come out of that? Maybe let me give you an example, like JF Kennedy. He was such a great president. He was making such good headway in America, and then someone assassinated him. And then there is all these big players in the political scene in America were always assassinated. Do you worry that you might be seen in that light, and that might end up being in your future somewhere if you're taking on this path? Do you ever worry about that?
I'll let you know, Alex, that in a Uganda where we're living, the fear of death is not anywhere on my agenda. You understand? My aspirations are bigger than my tiny life. Yeah, we are almost 40 million Ugandans.
It's a big number.
And if we fear to do what is right because we are fearing the repercussion, then that's a very, very big weakness, Yes, there is a fear, because every time when there's so much corruption and you're talking about stopping corruption, you're actually taking some bread out of somebody's mouth. But there comes a time when we have to step on the fear. You understand? Nelson Mandela told you one time that bravery is not the absence of fear, but it's the ability to step on that fear, to overcome that fear. Yes, we always fear for our lives. But like I told you, people die anyway.
Every day,
Our brother Radio did not have to criticize bad governance to die. AK-47 did not have to criticize bad governance to die. And indeed, all the people that die senseless deaths. So I am not looking at that. In any case, what I'm saying is what even our government needs. I'm not abusing anybody. I'm not abusing our president. I'm only telling him that it is right to lead people nicely,
in
a right way. And if I don't do that, somebody else will do it.
We'll stand in
so
your
what
shoes.
Is the purpose of living long and then waking up 60 years old
and nothing has changed?
And nothing has changed. And then my children and grandchildren are asking me, what did you do when you could change that?
That's powerful. That's powerful right there. That's first got me for a second that I'm still thinking about it in my mind. I'm so content. I'm like, Jesus, that was good. So church knows that what you're going to take.
You have so many people who believe in you.
Yeah.
So many people that believe in you. Does that put you under any kind of pressure? Actually, the two groups, the people who believe in you and the people who are watching and waiting for you to fail. So,
actually,
does that put you under any kind of pressure?
Yeah. I don't want people to believe in me. I want them to believe in themselves. Because it's not about me.
But the thing with people, the thing with humans, they always want someone to aspire. Yes, they have to see, you have to see someone to aspire you to be someone, You have to have someone you follow, someone you represent, someone who inspires you to be better or to reach for other things. So whether you want it or not, you have ended up having that mantle of someone they respect, someone they want to. So at the end of the day, there's no use of saying, I don't want them to love me. But you have turned into...
It feels so good.
Maybe once upon a time.
You didn't want to, but now...
Themselves and wanted someone to, to take on their beliefs and make them into,
and manifest,
turn them into something bigger, and they just couldn't find that person.
Certainly.
And right now, here you are.
You see, it is beautiful to be loved. It feels so good to get somewhere and people show you that yes, they believe in what you say. But what I'm trying to say is that we must not zero that down to me. Let us look at what I represent, and indeed that is what you might be representing yourself, only that you don't know. I'm not looking at making people believe in my ability to change things. I'm looking at making them believe in their ability to do that. I want to inspire as many Bobi Wines out there as possible. That's the only way we can add up the dots and make the change. Otherwise, I'm only a human being.
Yeah.
You understand? If I don't inspire other people to stick to what is right, you know, I have weaknesses as me. I'm not righteous.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just want us to have something that we hold on to as a people, and most importantly, as a generation. If we have that, then we would get there. Sometime I might not be there. I might be in jail or in the grave. But if we have something that we believe in as a people, then it can't be stopped. You'll stop one and another will move on. You'll stop another, and that's the only way we can guarantee getting to where we want to get.
So I understand what you're trying to say. Now I want you to, because there's so many people who are not understand you like the way we are understanding, and whatever you're saying seems to be general. What is it you're expecting of people to do? What kind of people do you want them to be? Exactly, like break it down for me. Help your neighbor, do this sometime. So your message is out there, but what is it you're expecting as fellow Ugandans and as the people who are in the diaspora? To become
I want us to recognize what we need, and most importantly, recognize our ability to contribute to it. I want everybody to know that they can do something wherever they are. I have some Islamic friends, and they taught me something. The Quran says, if there's anything that you don't want, do something about it. And if you cannot do something about it, at least talk about it. So if there's something wrong that you notice, which I believe, by acting about it, you're making a difference. And if you can't act, at least you can talk about it. We are living in a generation where we have social media, you know. And we talk about it. We are living in a generation where we can advocate for things, advocate for it, and most importantly, vote about it.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, everyone who's tuning online, we have so many people who are tuned in watching. I apologize, I cannot read all your questions at once because they're coming in so fast. But let me recognize a few people who are watching. Marion Mukundani are watching. Marion's father was here last week. If you didn't get a chance to see that show, he was former MP, Honorable Muzora.
Yeah.
When he was here last week, he was talking about you know, the current government that it is. So we're really happy that they're tuning in, and I think he's also watching as well somewhere around all this. So he was really excited when he said that you are coming over. So we really want to say thank you for coming in and sending your messages. I'm reading them right now. I cannot get to everyone, but let me recognize everyone who's there. DJ Paddy, you're watching. Kajibu Tony, you're watching. Matt Trevor Frank has watched your diaspora show and is also here watching again. Honorable President, you're such a nice example to the youth. Keep inspiring us.
Thank you.
That's very good. Everyone is calling you His Excellency the President, MV Forward President. And I think I'm going to ask you this just to get it out of the way, because everyone is thinking it. Everyone wants to know, are you running for president? Are you thinking of running for president in 2021, right? That's when we're voting again. Are you thinking of standing next to Museveni if he does you know, want to join another term? Will you be standing?
This is not about me, and it's not about me. Yeah, it is indeed not. I mean, we cannot cross bridges that we've not reached.
Yeah,
we cannot start talking about 2021 when we have a 2018 to sort out. We failed to sort out 2017. You understand? We had a constitution that clearly shows the way Uganda is supposed to go.
Yeah,
and it was, for lack of a better word, raped and abrogated in broad daylight. We didn't come together to sort it out. We tried what we could, but I believe if we were more together and had more concentrated energy, we would have saved our constitution. That constitution would have made it clear that we would have a peaceful change.
Yeah.
Remember, we lost close to 1 million people when President Museveni was coming to power. In 2018, you realize that the current government is trying to change the constitution again to prolong the tenure of the president, so that people do not have a chance to determine their destiny much earlier. That is a much bigger problem. So, with or without me, we need good systems in place, not individuals. So, we cannot think about 2021 when we have 2018 to sort out.
But is it something that you've aspired to, or you'd think about, just in case you've managed to implement all these changes and 2020 comes around, 2021 comes around?
Let us not say just in case. Let's do it. Let's do what we have to do now, and then the future will sort out itself. Uganda has many other intelligent people. It's not just me. I mean, I'm just this young guy. What drives me is just the passion and love for a better country. Kubanga ntambula ne negomba. Yeah, I come to America, I look at the freedom guys have, I see how they're using their resources, and we have even more resources
than they do.
We are a rich country, but our people are poor. So it's not about me, it is about all of us.
We have a question that just came in from Talemwa Michael. Thank you again for joining and posting that question. It's such a good question. If your current ways of addressing political issues has not brought about change so far, what other strategies do you plan to deploy in order to bring that change? Because we just can't wait. That's what he's saying.
You see, now we cannot say if we should not pointing at the other person. Just say if our current ways, which other ways? First and foremost, we need to come together as a people. And it's on that note that actually I would love to invite all my fellow Ugandans tomorrow.
Yeah. We
are having a conference where we're going to sit down. I'm inviting all people from across the divide, whether you're NRM, whether you're DP, FDC, UPC, whether you are a lady or a gentleman, whether you are a religious leader or social activist or a professional. Let's come together and sit down. I believe ideas are within us. An idea that will change Uganda might come from a young lady like you or you.
That's
so
good.
It all begins by coming together and say this is good and this is bad. We can't do this and we can't do that. When we do that, you'll see that solutions will just boom.
Just come out of there.
Mr. Sentam, we saw a change in careers from a musician to a leader. You don't want to be called a politician, to a leader. Are we going to see a singing MP, or like you've switched and that's it?
I did not.
When the musician is gone and now we're dealing with the leader.
First of all, leadership is not a career, at least not for me.
Yeah.
I am a musician. That's what I went to school for, and that is my passion. But coming up to take an active role in leadership was because I did not want to leave it to anybody else other than me, and I would also encourage a beautiful TV host like you to also take the same course, a lawyer, a teacher to take the same course, because this is a responsibility. I still sing. It's my responsibility, and two, it is a medium of communication where I communicate to people in a peaceful and friendly way. So yes, music is my first love. And sorry, I will not stop singing.
How do you plan to juggle the two? Because we see MPs that never go to their constituencies at all. Like in 5 years.
Well, I live in my constituency.
So you live there, they have to see you every day getting out of the gate.
I live in Chadondo East. The things that I'm doing as an MP, I have been doing all the years. I've been, advocating for improvement of infrastructure, the roads and the wells, water sources, for health.
So you work in Chanchima,
in Chanchima. And even human rights. The only thing that I do more that I wasn't doing was to go and sit in the parliamentary building and articulate issues. We sit only 3 times a week. That's Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Wow,
I have all evening to do my music. I have all weekend to do my gardening and to do my performances. So All this can be done.
And I think that's the first time that I saw you, because I used to follow your music without the whole political thing going on.
Yeah.
And then one time I think it was 2-3 years ago, 4 years, I'm not sure. And then one time I was reading the newspaper, and then I think we were watching Atali Komfufu or something along those lines, and they were posting a story about you where you found there was a gigantic hole, Murugudo, I think somewhere in Kawempe, and then and they had put like leaves on, and like there was this big truck that literally abantu bali Guamu. There were stories about it, and then no one was doing anything because I think police had been told about it. Ate nkuba Uganda yojimanyi, like it's like torrential, and then you literally got money out of your pocket. No later abantu they were fixing Murugudo. That was the first time I heard about Bobi doing something really, really outstanding. And I really, I mean, I like seeing when, you know, musicians or artists in Uganda get involved in the community, not just like, you know, going and causing obuvuyo here and there or making noise here and there or doing all these things that make them, you know, hated in some way. But when you see an artist give back or use whatever talent they have to give back, that's really inspiring. And I think that was the first thing I actually saw. And then I'm like, oh my God, he's doing something. And then the next thing I heard is like, oh, he's helping here. Oh, he's doing this. And I'm like, this might actually end up somewhere. And next thing you know it.
Actually, it is not only me that does those things. You know, sometimes I feel embarrassed when too much credit is given to me.
Yeah.
Other artists are doing great work. Mose Radio, now the late, had an orphanage school that is facilitating. He would take me there like every month to give these children inspirational talk and career guidance. You know, he was doing that. I believe Baby Cool himself is also doing some good charity work. So is Chameleon, and so is Juliana. These people are doing various things, you know. And what I did was maybe to want to do more, because I know more can be done when one has an office of formal authority. You know, that is why I took up that, I took an even larger step to be able to do more for my country. But I believe these other artists are also doing this. Unfortunately, our negatives tend to shine more than our positives.
Because they put them out there. If more artists, more you know, celebrities, because news is good. The social media, I think they should use the social media in a good way. They don't. We managed to get the news about you doing all those good deeds, and I think that impacted people in such a good way. Yeah. They need to. I'm all for being rich and doing all these things and good deeds in secret. But that only makes you feel good. It doesn't make whoever you have helped feel good, you know. But if someone comes and I have my own money, I'm a celebrity and I'm doing something, it inspires people in a good way. Maybe if they do all these things in secret, like if they have an orphanage somewhere, like secretly. But I think if it's out there, it inspires people to believe in. But now your negative, I want to do the same. But now your negatives overpower anything good that you might have done. And even that, I don't think. Mose Radio having an orphanage or Bobi Wine helping in all this, it's news to me. But because I
think you know, so it has to do with the media. The media magnifies the negative.
When it bleeds, it sells.
But then the good, if there were some good impacts I had done, someone would have pointed those out. Or they did this and this and this, and that was good.
They mentioned that after the artists are gone. All these people are gone. They never give them credit for the things they do well when they're still alive, which is unfortunate.
But they do really good work. For example, there's this young talented artist, his name is Levixon. He has a charity, and together with him we go around feeding people. Last time we were in Kosovo with him, and there's lots that artists are doing, and it would only be fair to also highlight on it.
That's it would I think impact the world in a different way.
That brings me to my other question. As a musician, you can get away with just about anything. Easily, you can easily get away with anything. And as a leader, it's quite different. Do you think there's anything in your past, any trend that could affect your leadership journey? Because people use all these things. The higher you get, the more faults people come up with. Do you think there's anything Bobi Wine should
clean up or something you did in the past?
Yes, I've lived some kind of cantankerous life in the past. It's no secret. When I was growing up, I'm a ghetto child. I'm very proud of it. In the ghetto where I come from, we go through all stuff, all crazy stuff. I went through almost all of it. You must be remembering that I was a very violent guy. And of course, I had my brushes with my fellow artists here and there. I don't regret it because it helped me to grow. It helped me become the man I am today. You know, having grown through violence and alcohol and drugs and everything gives me the moral authority to talk to young people about the same, because they will know that I'm talking from a position of knowledge.
We have someone who has posted, I think something that I'm going to come up from with hers. We have someone who has posted online that we have watched a lot of leaders gain power, or a lot of MPs gain power, or anyone in the top government gain power, and they're able to change the world or impact that their wherever they are in a positive or negative way. Do you ever worry that you're going to become one of those people who have been stereotyped that they gained power and then they became negative in some way, or they became dictators in the long run, or his true characters showed now? Do you ever worry that you might become that kind of person?
Yes. Yes, that's a worry, because I've seen great leaders. I'm personally inspired by our president. At my age, he had very beautiful words.
In the beginning,
At my age, he was a prized revolutionary. But they always say power corrupts.
Power corrupts.
And absolute power corrupts absolutely. But I believe that, well knowing that and having seen that precedent set, and we must be able to learn from that, because they say history teaches, but stupid people never learn from history. Although they say history repeats itself, still one guy called Elia Kategaya said fools repeat history. So we must put measures to make sure that does not happen, because we know power corrupts. And what does that mean? Putting measures to curtail it. Putting measures that put strong institutions other than strong men. Yes.
That is something. For everyone watching, thank you for sharing. Please share the show. Please leave your comments. We have so many people watching that you guys, I'm so sorry I cannot read every question that's coming in, but I'm going to just say a few things that people are passing along. Quincy, wherever you're watching, Quincy is in Maryland again. She's the one who she's running for a Democratic seat on the committee in Maryland.
Wow.
So you're one of her biggest fans, so she's following in that
Good luck,
path. So we're happy that you're joining in. Mindset Uganda is watching. We have LM Prezo, who was a big critic of Mr. Mzora last week. He was saying NRM is, for lack of a better word, NRM is rotten and NRM is this and this and that. That's the one he used. So we have, this is one of the biggest things that we have, and I've noticed it. I've gone to Karibu, I've had the people who gather there. Karibu is our local restaurant, you've been there.
I've just had my lunch
there we go. Yeah. So there's always a group of people who are there talking about politics, talking about change, talking about all these things that they need to see happen before they go. But there's also the situation where, this is what I had, Mr. Mzora talked about it last time. He said, I'm not quoting him, so I'm just giving him a general idea. He said we have been in this, we have experienced a lot of peace since Museveni took power. Generally speaking, we have had peace, we have had in schools, we have gotten all these good things. And people have this, they have this understanding or this logic that when they were to take our muntu to come into power, we might go back to the times of Amin. And I think it's a thought that everyone has. I think that's why Museveni has managed to, despite the fact that maybe he cheats or he doesn't, he has managed to be in power for so long. Because abantu babera in that thing, bagamba, what if omuntu agenda okudaka atuzamwe eri time yani? That kind of thinking.
Some are scared.
Well, it's unfortunate.
They're scared of change.
It's really unfortunate that we are talking about peace when multitudes of Ugandans are not home. Simply because it's not peaceful. I don't know what you call peace when people get killed and nobody gives an answer. I don't know what you call peace when we lose 315 children every day. They died yesterday, they died today, and they die tomorrow. Simply because of a rotten healthcare system. I don't know what you call peace when we lose 18 mothers every day. I don't know what you call peace when you cannot talk about what affects you, simply because the police is going to come and brutalize you in broad daylight. So I don't understand what you call peace right there. We are living in the 21st century. Okay, Uganda was relatively peaceful. What brought the chaos was when President Museveni, together with his people, went and became bandits and started a war that claimed over 800,000 lives of Ugandans to come into power, promising a fundamental change, promising peaceful change. You understand? So I don't know what you call peace. You understand? I don't know what you call peace when you don't have a single right, even when the Constitution says that fundamental human rights are inherent and not granted by state. I think that's being held on ransom. We are being held hostage.
Yeah, in your own country.
I think it's the older generation.
The older generation that impacts,
yeah, that is saying we have peace, because you know, they're talking about it in reference to what they had before, to what was going on before this regime.
Yeah. So it's when you're living in America and you see how you live, and you go back to your country and you cannot move in your car and talk to your phone with the window down, and you say you're having peace.
But you have to understand, because right now, that generation, the generation you're talking about, our generation, we have access to TVs, we have access to the media. That's only a part of, that's like maybe Kampala or Jinja, or those cities that have developed. Uganda is mostly traditional, mostly backward. People don't have the same...
Uganda is not backward.
We're not backward, but I'm talking about all those places that are far from reach from technology. The people who have, those people that are in faraway places, that don't have access, that cannot have the same aspect of change. Let's do this. That's that gusto that you're talking about. But people, our generation, where we have media, we can understand what you're saying, we can vote for you, we can go for it. But people who are backwards there, their grandparents,
I would
areas without electricity.
Without electricity.
I would love to have that discussion in a wider range, and when I have people that I'm exchanging with, because when I'm here and I'm presenting it all alone, well, I might seem that I'm just presenting my own side of the story. It is nice that I've invited fellow Ugandans tomorrow at the Hilton in Woburn, 7 o'clock. Please come, let's sit down and talk about these issues and question me. I always want people to critique me when I can see them and they can see me, so we can have a polite, decent and civilized discussion. So I guess that and more we'll talk about, it tomorrow at the Hilton.
Okay. We're going to give a chance to one person in the audience who wanted to ask a question. We know a few people have questions, so we wanted to give like someone who wanted to ask one question, and then we can say goodbye to his, to Honorable Sentamo. Is there anyone who wants, or you guys are all set?
As they're figuring it out.
Yeah.
As they're figuring it out. Mr. Sentamo, you're a hands-on leader. Yeah.
Yes.
You get involved in whatever you preach.
Yeah.
How can these people, how can the general public come in to help, practically speaking? How like, do you have, you know, back then they used to have Gwanga Muje, Sagalagalamide, you know, why people, you know, they hear those drums, they know it's time to come in and do something, you know. Do you have plans like that? Do you organize such where you collect people and you just do things as
exactly, and that is why I'm here. That is why I'm here. Back home, I call upon people. We sit down and take their ideas. These things I'm talking about are not just from my head. From your head, yeah. These are ideas that I get from the old people in my constituency and other constituencies, from religious leaders, from fellow young people, from the ladies that work in the market, from the men that work in the civil service. And these are ideas that I want to get from the Ugandan community in the diaspora. And indeed, that's why I insist that we should meet tomorrow, so I can get all these ideas. I don't want to be representing my thoughts.
By yourself,
I want to be representing the thoughts of all of us.
There is one question that I really wanted to ask before you go. I'm going to ask you just to answer this one question, and then you can go on to your next plans. Hi, this is from Melissa Eric. He's watching from Sweden. He says, I would like to ask Honorable how he sees his future as far as corruption is concerned. Won't you be corrupted or bought by the NRM government? So they're very worried for your future. So
you were asking whether I'm not going to be killed.
Is there?
And now you're asking whether I'm.
We
not
are so worried about where. We are worried for you.
I'll just seal this show with one quote from one great American man called Martin Luther King Jr.
Yeah.
He said, "True freedom is when you overcome the fear of death and the love of money and wealth."
Wow.
Because if you're not obsessed by the love of money, nobody can buy you off. And if you're not afraid of death, nobody can scare you off.
Very well said, very well put. For everyone watching, thank you so much for tuning in. We have gotten so much response for the Honorable who just came to visit us and talk to us. We're very happy that you've managed to be here for just to grace us with your presence. Thank you so much, guys. Whoever tuned in, whoever shared the page, continue to share. If he ever comes back in town, we'll definitely have him come and talk to you guys. As you guys know, this show is not about politics. It's not about social media. It's not about. It's just about people who are curious for information. We're so curious for knowledge. We're curious about everything in life, and we really aspire to learn from so many people. This generation is really, really thirsty for information, and we bring people who we know have a little bit more information than we do, and we want these guys to, talk to you, and we want you guys to learn how they did it, how they made it, and how they're continuing to make it. So this show is centered around that whole aspect. So if you know anyone who can be of great use to us on the Campfire Talk Show, please send in your send us your information in our inboxes, or leave a message there. Leave messages for actually Honorable Sentam. He's going to read all these things, and possibly if he gets time, he will respond to all of them, because you guys had very sound questions, had very sound answers and advice. So thank you so much. Please tell a friend to watch us next week. Before we go, we want to listen to one last. Is there anything you want to say to the viewers out there? Anyone watching in the diaspora right now, all over the world?
I want to invite them again to come. I know the solutions lie among us. We are the people in the diaspora contribute so much on the Ugandan economy, and they contribute so much on the way we think. I want you to know that we are the country, we are the future, and we are the change that we've been waiting for. We only need to get up and be actively involved, and before you know, we will get where we want to be. Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank
you.
Mr. Sentamu, you said you're a musician first before a leader. Support we
wanted to ask.
Okay, listen. Zembasaba tube mugwange tona yenga tuloza ngabakulu. Twewale n'okuyiga obuyisa bw'abo abafuzi abajudo mululu. Ntenda ezikuze gwange pya erinjuda amabavu. Gwe nsaba weejukize mutima ffe Uganda ne Uganda yefe. We are the country, we are the future, we are the change we badly need. We are the youngest population in the world, we stand a chance. We are the leaders of the future, and the future is today. If we only come together, we can change our destiny.
Thank
you. Peace out. See you tomorrow,
See you tomorrow, guys. Yes. Thank you for watching the Campfire Talk Show. This has been Alexandria, your host with the mostest, and with my lovely co-host, Dark and Fine. Check us out on Facebook. Go to the page, like the page Campfire Talk Show, or go to Live MTV to watch us every Sunday at 3 o'clock. Live MTV Live. Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Peace out.
Woo! That was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh, Pastor, do we have to take...